She rolled her eyes so hard, I thought they might get stuck. At our family reunion, my sister laughed and said, "Wait, you still do that little thing you call a job?" Everyone chuckled like they were in on a joke I didn't understand. But what they didn't know, what she didn't know, was that in just a few weeks, I'd be giving the closing keynote at a national branding summit. And sitting in the front row? Her. Alongside two of her most important clients. What happened on that stage changed our relationship forever and redefined who I was to everyone, including myself. Growing up, Amanda was the one everyone noticed first and last. She was the kind of child teachers remembered years later, the one relatives bragged about during holiday dinners. Amanda was smart in the way adults like. She got straight A's, won school competitions, led student council, and somehow managed to do it all without breaking a sweat. She wasn't just impressive, she was safe. The kind of daughter who made our parents feel secure about their parenting choices. She followed the traditional, reliable path: top university, polished resume, and a job at a well-known consulting firm straight out of college. Everyone adored her. And then there was me. I wasn't a failure, I just wasn't her. I was the creative one. I painted. I journaled. I edited silly videos and made short documentaries on my phone. While Amanda was presenting PowerPoints to mock CEOs in her business classes, I was helping a local bakery boost their online presence through storytelling. But in our family's eyes, it didn't matter. My work didn't come with a title or a corner office. It came with vague descriptions, self-employment, and hours spent in front of a screen in leggings and a hoodie. To them, Amanda had a career. I had a phase. Whenever I talked about a new project or campaign I was proud of, someone would always tilt their head and say, "That's interesting. So when do you plan to get something stable?" As if passion didn't count unless it came with a corporate badge and health insurance. Amanda never outright insulted me, but her disapproval was baked into every comment. Once, at a cousin's graduation, she leaned in and said, "You should come shadow me for a day, just to see what a real strategy session looks like." I laughed it off, but deep down, it stung. It wasn't just Amanda. It was the entire atmosphere I grew up in, one that measured success by spreadsheets and skipped right past anything that didn't fit neatly into a LinkedIn job description. I was building a business, telling real stories, shaping brands with emotional truth and narrative identity. But no one saw it. Or worse, they saw it and chose not to take it seriously. And for a long time, I believed them. I stayed quiet about my wins. I stopped trying to explain what I did. I shrunk myself so Amanda wouldn't roll her eyes or smirk when I spoke. But somewhere in all that shrinking, I began to quietly build. Not for them, not for her, but for me. Grandma's 80th birthday was the kind of family reunion that only happened once a decade. The banquet hall was filled with a smell of catered food and too much perfume, and relatives I hadn't seen in years floated from table to table like overexcited bees. The room buzzed with chatter and clinking glasses. Kids darted between legs, older uncles yelled over each other about politics, and in the center of it all stood Amanda, flawless as usual. She arrived 20 minutes late in a cream-colored pantsuit and heels that didn't dare scuff. Her entrance was like something out of a movie, effortless, magnetic. She was already mid-conversation on a Bluetooth call about onboarding strategy for a luxury retail client, and even before she hung up, people were circling around her like she was royalty. "Amanda, you're glowing. Did you bring back anything from Paris? Tell us about that big merger." I stayed near the edge of the room, sipping from a paper cup and trying to avoid the spotlight. I had worn a soft maroon dress I loved, one I found in a thrift shop and had tailored to fit me just right. It made me feel like myself, quietly confident. But standing next to Amanda, it felt like a costume. At dinner, we all crammed around one long table, and conversation naturally gravitated toward careers. Amanda, of course, took center stage. She talked about high-profile clients, brand overhauls, and international flights like she was reading off a press release. We just closed with a global fashion house. Massive numbers. I'll be in Milan next month to finalize. The aunts and cousins beamed. My dad nodded proudly. Then someone turned to me. And what about you? What are you working on these days? Before I could answer, Amanda cut in. She's probably still editing TikToks for yoga studios, she said with a laugh, swirling her wine. Then, looking right at me, she added with a smirk, "You still doing that little thing you call a job?" The table went quiet for half a second. Then came the laughter, some polite, some genuine, most unsure. My uncle chuckled and said, "Ah, the internet hustle." My mom looked at her plate. My cheeks burned. I smiled. That fake kind of smile you paste on when you're 2 seconds from breaking. I could have said something. I could have clapped back. But I didn't. Because what Amanda didn't know, what no one at that table knew, was that I had just been invited to give the closing keynote at a national branding summit. A conference attended by some of the biggest names in the industry. The kind of event that booked best-selling authors and Fortune 100 CMOs. And sitting front row at that very summit? Amanda, with two of her most important clients. The truth was, I had been building something for years, just not the kind of something my family respected. While Amanda flew across the world to meet clients and schmooze at executive dinners, I had been quietly crafting a storytelling agency that specialized in emotional brand identity. No staff retreats, no office building with a receptionist. Just me, a few talented freelancers, and a laptop that had seen far too many all-nighters. A few months before the reunion, my agency launched a storytelling campaign for a small mental health startup. We collected raw, unfiltered stories from real users, people who had battled depression, anxiety, and isolation, and turned their journeys into a series of mini-documentaries. The campaign struck a nerve. Within weeks, it had gone viral. National outlets picked it up. Shares, comments, testimonials, it exploded. More importantly, it connected. We weren't selling a product. We were sharing truths. That campaign didn't just boost the startup's visibility, it got me noticed too. A few weeks after the campaign peaked, I received an email from the organizers of the National Brand Identity Summit. The subject line read, "Keynote Opportunity." I thought it was a scam at first. Me, a keynote speaker? But it was real. They'd seen the mental health series and wanted someone who could speak about authenticity in branding, how emotional storytelling was transforming consumer trust. They weren't offering a panel spot or a breakout room. No. They wanted me as the closing keynote speaker. The main event. I stared at the email for a long time. Then I cried. Not out of fear or even joy, just release. After years of being the invisible one, I was finally being invited to speak. Not asked to prove myself, invited. Still, I told no one in my family. Not out of spite, but because I didn't want them to flatten it before it even began. I wanted to keep it mine. The first jolt came when I received the guest list for VIP attendees. I nearly dropped my coffee when I saw Amanda's name, and not just hers. Her firm had booked front row seats for her and two major clients. I stared at the screen, blinking, like maybe I had read it wrong. Amanda would be there, listening to me, at an event where I was the authority. She'd have to sit and watch her little sister, the one who edits TikToks for yoga studios, teach her clients about branding with soul. I threw myself into the prep. I rewrote the speech 7 times, practiced for hours, built slides, tested stories, refined every pause. My nerves were shot, but my determination was feral. I wasn't just prepping for a conference. I was preparing to reclaim my voice. The morning of the summit felt surreal. As I stepped out of the rideshare and approached the convention center, I saw something that made my breath hitch. A massive banner stretched above the glass entryway, bold letters reading, "National Brand Identity Summit, Closing Keynote by Aria Lane. My face was right there, beside the title. Not a logo I'd designed. Not a campaign I'd directed. Me. Inside, the program booklets had my name on the back cover. Staff members nodded at me with polite recognition as I picked up my badge. It was thick, gold-bordered, with the word "Speaker" in capital letters. I held it in my palm for a few seconds before slipping it around my neck, like I needed proof this was really happening. Backstage was a whirlwind of light checks, mic fittings, and fast-talking coordinators with clipboards. I paced, drinking water I couldn't swallow, repeating the first line of my speech like a mantra. For a moment, the familiar cloud of imposter syndrome wrapped around me. What if I didn't belong here? What if Amanda had been right all along? Then the coordinator peeked through the curtain. They're all seated. You're up in 5. I dared a glance through the stage curtain, and there she was. Amanda. Front row. Crisp blazer. Legs crossed. Confident as ever, laughing at something one of her clients said. She still didn't know. She had no idea who the keynote speaker was. Until the host walked on stage. We are honored to welcome a visionary who's redefining emotional branding in the digital age. Please join me in welcoming our closing keynote, Aria Lane. There was a beat of applause, and then I stepped into the lights. I saw it instantly, the flicker in Amanda's eyes. Her jaw tensed. Her clients clapped politely, still unaware of the family dynamic unfolding in real time. Amanda blinked, as if trying to process what she was seeing. And I smiled. Not out of spite. Out of strength. I started my speech with a story. A real one, about a small fitness brand we helped reframe their identity around body positivity. Then I moved into data, breaking down the neuroscience of emotional recall in marketing. Every slide had intention. Every example had heart. I spoke about the mental health campaign and how we prioritized truth over polish, and watched engagement explode. The room was silent, attentive. Some took notes. Some leaned forward. I could feel it, connection, validation not from applause, but from understanding. Amanda didn't move. Her face had lost its shine. She wasn't smirking now. I wasn't the little sister tagging along with a camera anymore. I was a speaker at one of the top branding summits in the country, and she was watching me own the room. I closed my speech with a line I'd rewritten at least a dozen times, unsure if it would land. But in that moment, standing under the lights with hundreds of eyes on me, it came out effortlessly. Authenticity isn't a marketing trend, it's the soul of connection. And the brands that dare to show their humanity, those are the ones people remember. A pause. Then a wave of sound hit me. Applause. Loud. Wholehearted. Genuine. For a second, I just stood there, blinking under the lights. Then I stepped back, gave a small bow, and let the moment wash over me. From the stage, I saw them rise. Not everyone, but enough. People stood. A ripple of motion as some grabbed phones, others clapped over their heads. In the front row, Amanda's clients were on their feet. One of them, a woman in a deep green blazer, turned to Amanda mid-clap and whispered something. Amanda looked frozen. She clapped, too, but stiffly, like it was mechanical, like her hands didn't quite know what else to do. As I stepped down from the stage, the green blazer client walked straight up to me. She extended a hand, beaming. You're Aria Lane? The Aria Lane who did the Minds Unmasked campaign. I nodded, surprised. She turned to her colleague. We literally used that campaign as a case study in our team trainings. Then to me again, your use of layered storytelling? Brilliant. It's why we're pivoting our next launch. They handed me their cards, asked to connect. One of them even asked if I did consulting on emotional brand pivots. All the while, Amanda hovered just a step behind them. Silent. Watching. She wasn't angry. She wasn't even embarrassed. She was something else entirely, disoriented, like the ground had shifted under her heels and she was trying to find footing. But I wasn't doing this to shake her foundation. That was never the point. This wasn't revenge. This wasn't a takedown. This was me finally being seen. Not as a hobbyist. Not as a joke. Not as the one who edits TikToks. But as the creative strategist, the storyteller, the keynote speaker whose words moved an entire room. Amanda could catch up to that truth, or not. Either way, I had already arrived. The days after the summit were a blur of notifications. Emails poured in from agencies, brand managers, even college marketing professors who had seen the live stream. LinkedIn requests multiplied by the hour. My inbox wasn't just full. It was buzzing. People wanted to collaborate, consult, book me for their next event. A branding exec from a Fortune 500 company DM'd me directly. "Your talk changed how I'm approaching our rebrand. Are you open to a strategy session?" It was surreal. And yet, it felt earned. The next time I saw Amanda was at a small family dinner a week later. Nothing grand, just a backyard barbecue for Dad's birthday. Normally, she'd arrive with her signature blowout and commanding presence, introducing herself with a quick rundown of her latest client wins. But that evening, something shifted. I was chatting with our aunt when Amanda walked over. "Hey," she said casually. "I heard you were featured on the summit's highlight reel." I smiled. "Yeah, they clipped the ending." She nodded, took a sip of wine. "Nice. That's a big deal." No apology. Not even a hint of remorse for mocking me at Grandma's party. But her tone, less sharp, more measured, said enough. She knew. She finally knew. Over time, the changes became more visible. At a cousin's wedding, someone asked Amanda what I did. She didn't scoff or interrupt. Instead, she said, "My sister's in high demand lately. She just keynote a national summit. She runs a creative agency." That one sentence did something I didn't expect. It softened me. For years, I had wanted her approval, or at least her acknowledgement. But hearing her speak of me with even a shred of respect made me realize something bigger. I didn't need her validation anymore. I'd built something real. I'd turned storytelling into a career, clients into believers, and late-night edits into standing ovations. Amanda and I, we're not best friends. We probably never will be. The layers of comparison and competition run deep. But now there's space for something new, a mutual understanding, a recalibration of roles. She doesn't see me as the creative little sister anymore. And the best part? Neither do I. The best revenge isn't proving anyone wrong. It's growing so confidently, so fully, that their opinions stop holding weight. I didn't rise to get back at Amanda. I just kept building, quietly, intentionally, with heart. The validation eventually came, sure, but it was my self-worth that led the way. If you're feeling unseen or underestimated right now, keep going. Your work matters, even if they laugh at first. One day, they'll be sitting in the front row too, silent, stunned, maybe even clapping, as you take the stage they never imagined you'd own. And trust me, that moment, it's worth the wait.